the blame for the Steelers' mess?
Ben Roethlisberger's contract. And by the way, you can blame the same thing in Seattle on Russell Wilson's contract. You can pay Aaron Rodgers all that money because he's Aaron Rodgers. Otherwise, the quarterback position, as important as it is, has become a little bit overpriced. And as a result, when the next guy comes up and he's in line to make his money, teams are often hamstrung in terms of what else they can do. Know why the Rams are so good? Goff is on his rookie deal. Eagles, Wentz is on his rookie deal. Steelers had to pay Roethlisberger a lot of money. They also paid Antonio Brown, probably under market, but still had to guarantee him money. Makes a lot of money. As a result, Le'Veon Bell is holding out. There's not money for him, right? The defense is not good. This is what happens, particularly with aging quarterbacks. And Ben Roethlisberger is an aging quarterback. As I keep saying, Stephen A., you got to rob Peter to pay Paul in the NFL. If you're paying Roethlisberger $1 more, someone else is getting there's one fewer dollar to spend that elsewhere. And that's the issue with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're paying a once great, still good, but no longer great quarterback top dollar, and they have fewer resources for other players.
I think you're wrong because I don't think the Steelers organization has proven, at least on the defensive side of the ball, that they put the money in the right place. And I think that's what we have to pay attention to here. I'm going to blame the Steelers defense. Their pass rush is questionable. Their secondary is deplorable. T.J. Watt has been playing well and what have you, but for the most part, their defense really just is not that impressive. They're ranked 28th in the league right now. 28th in the league in points forfeited, 25th in the league in yards allowed, 30th against the run. You can do what you want, when you want, how you want against the Steelers defense. You can't even mention the Steel Curtain, the heyday of the Pittsburgh Steelers with Mean Joe Green and all of those boys and L.C. Greenwood and Mel Blount and Lord knows everybody else. You can't even go back to the Super Bowl of 2010 with Polamalu and others. You can't do anything. Not 2010, 2008. I'm sorry, because they lost to Green Bay in 2010. You can't even go back to that a decade ago when they had Polamalu and others. You know why? Because their defense stinks, and that's really the reality of the situation. Their secondary is highly questionable. You can also point to the dysfunctionality raking through the franchise. From James Harrison last year reportedly falling asleep in meetings to Antonio Brown and his antics, to Big Ben Roethlisberger wondering whether or not he wanted to play, to the holdout last year and this year with Le'Veon Bell, to social media activity, to the offensive lineman calling out a guy looking for his money. Everywhere you turn.
Stephen A., let me ask you something.
That's what I was going to say. That I was going to say to everybody.
You need help on the defense, right? I know in the secondary particularly, but
yes,
could you have used Khalil Mack on the Steelers? Would he have been a nice fit on the Steelers?
You know what? He would have been a great fit because he would have applied pressure on the quarterback, but the secondary is still suspect.
But
really
Stephen
is.
A., my point is you can't pursue Khalil Mack if you're the Steelers because you paid Ben Roethlisberger. The reason the Bears could pursue Khalil Mack is because Trubisky's rookie deal frees up those resources.
Got a question for you. Stop right there. If indeed that is your position, then why did you malign John Gruden for trading Khalil Mack when John Gruden clearly is fine with the investment being made in Derek Carr?
Because what you need, number one, is a quarterback or coach. Those are 1, 2. After that, what's the next most important thing? A great defensive player up front. They had all three of those things. So however many holes Gruden thought he needed to fill, do it through the draft, do it through free agency, but you got those three things in their prime, at least the quarterback and the defensive player. Lock it up. Don't let that go anywhere. You know, if you can't build around that, there's a problem. But if you have a guy like Ben Roethlisberger at this point in his career, you have consistently, or as you would say, religiously brought up the fact that Roethlisberger waffles back and forth about his commitment. We can see that the production in a league where passing is big and he has all these offensive weapons is good, but we can see Roethlisberger's not quite the same guy. He's taken a lot of hits through his career.
Yeah, but you know what? He doesn't look much worse than Derek Carr has.
Well, listen, I'm not saying I'd have kept Derek Carr. He'd have been my pick at quarterback.
Okay, but that's what we're talking about here. Because, again, when you malign John Gruden for letting go of Khalil Mack, you knew at the time you made that argument that Derek Carr was his quarterback.
The problem is the deal they got back for Khalil Mack when they included a second-round pick, which may be close to a first-round pick, and their firsts may be lower down in the first round. My overarching point is the reason the Bears could be in the market for Khalil Mack is because they're not paying their quarterback. Your team, the Steelers, needed a great defensive player, and they did not have the wherewithal to go after him or the resources because they paid the quarterback. They can't even get their running back on the field right now.
Maybe that's a conversation we need to have at some point. Our quarterback's getting overpaid, and that's holding up teams. By the way, Big Ben was asked about if he was frustrated with the AB situation, with what he tweeted, and getting into it with the offensive coordinator, and he said no, he just thinks AB's frustrated. He doesn't want to actually get traded. He's a competitor, and that was really.
I never took it that he wanted to get traded. He was just snapping back at the PR guy.
He said he is going to talk to AB, though, and might have a different answer after that.